So here are the 5 things every smart news consumer should know. Number 1. No one has the full truth. You'll be lucky if you get at least half-way accurate story, even from the most credible publications. The process of informing oneself about an issue or a news item is an active, ongoing procedure and should be thought of as a journey rather than a destination. Assume that what you are reading is only part of the picture. At best, question motives and agendas behind every source. For instance, when reading about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, ask yourself what is missing from the story. Look beyond the military tactics. Do research from multiple sources about the history of the region. Talk to many different people from the region to understand their perspective. News stories are at best summaries of other reporters' experiences and limited angles. Number 2. Don't believe everything you think. To quote my friend Andres Romer, learn to question your own paradigms, assumptions, biases, and the information you think you have before delving into any controversy or a complex storyline. No matter how appealing it might be to take sides on the basis of what you presume is accurate, based on the most frequent angles you encounter in the coverage, among reporters, analysts, entire publications, all these people, evil governments, make mistakes, miss important pieces of evidence or information, or are simply unable to get to every source. Put away your own experience, put aside what you think you have, and try to approach the news as a student with humility and questions. That way, you're much less likely to be misled or manipulated. For instance, if you see a story covering the US elections at the peak of the races, sometimes it's wise to put aside what you think you know about the candidates and focus on what the story is telling you, and then ask yourself where your information about the candidates has come from and whether it bears reevaluating in light of new developments and additional coverage. Life is complicated. Number 3. There are not always clear heroes and villains. People are driven by complicated motivations. Partisan coverage may try to simplify particularly prominent personalities or subjects, paint them into a box, or create a particular narrative around them. But a smart news consumer is an independent-minded news consumer, so always keep in mind who is doing the framing and ask how such a framing could serve a particular agenda. That may or may not change your perspective on the subject, but at the very least you are less likely to fall into someone else's trap. And the more complicated you see a candidate, a personality, or a story, the less likely you are to make a decision based on emotions or short-term implications rather than on facts and the big picture. Number 4. Popular is not always right. Break out of your echo chambers and pursue diverse sources of information. Check different angles and details against each other. Don't become a victim of political biases or simply poor journalism. Consensus of experts can often be a logical fallacy, or a few. The bandwagon fallacy, appeal to authority. Judge the situations presented on their merits. It's okay to admit if you don't understand an issue, or if you cannot form an informed opinion right away. There's no inherent need to take an immediate and entrenched position on every subject, even if people close to you compel you to do so. 5. Go outside your personal comfort zone. Engage with outlets, perspectives, and ideas that do not fit with your confirmation bias or even personal ethics and interests. Challenge yourself. Be skeptical but measured. Don't confuse cynical contrarianism for a critical, curious mindset. Even if your heroes and preferred credible outlets satisfy you on a regular basis, they can also make mistakes. It's okay to deviate from a typical media path. It's okay to change your mind when presented with material facts that change your perspective. Learn to understand media techniques. That way you see through tricks and also understand exactly what a reporter is trying to convey and why.